This is my friend Matthew Garcia. He's sentenced to life without parole when he was 18. 2 months after he turned 18, there was an incident where somebody was killed. And in Pennsylvania, we have a thing called felony murder, which means if you're with somebody who commits murder and you guys were committing a crime, you get charged with murder too in the second degree. And in Pennsylvania, when you get charged with murder, it comes with a mandatory sentence of life without parole. Matthew was charged with second degree murder, and he's been in prison since, gosh, it's been 27 years since he was 18. I mean, I can't even fathom that duration from that age. Those are your growing years. Your mind is still in its development stage. I believe even scientists, biologists, they say up until the age of 25. And I can remember still being 21, 22, having a childlike mentality and still learning. So I can only imagine what it would have been like to develop in prison. Matt was in there in the late 90s. And if you know anything about prison or prison history, Pennsylvania's prisons in the 90s was a horrible place to be. I'm not saying that they're a picnic now, but the prisoners ran everything. In, I believe, 95, 96, Graterford was raided by the FBI. They found guns, pounds of cocaine, and Matthew was thrown into that as a child, not having even had hurt anybody. You can't expect somebody to live a holy life, in that environment. And a lot of people who are coming up for commutation or being resentenced, have been judged by their prison record. And not Matt specifically, but I just felt, compelled to mention that because I was thinking about, what they had to go through during that time. Matt has utilized his time a little differently than most people in prison. He has books he's written, he has programs he started. He started a petition on change.com or .org to support that Derek Lee case, which, should the Supreme Court rule in favor of Derek Lee, that would change the standard for the sentencing under second degree murder. So people like Matt, who haven't harmed anybody but were still charged with murder and sentenced to the rest of their life, could have a chance at coming home. I mean, obviously they don't get released right away, but they're given a full eligibility date. So they still have to then prove themselves to parole that they can, acclimate back into society, which I'm all for. I'm a full supporter of that. I think other people should jump on board with that. Matt, in here you hear him say, you have to do the right thing even when no one is looking. And in prison, though everybody's looking at you, doing the right thing in that place is really hard. And for Matt to do the things he's done, he should get full credit for that. So without further ado, this is Matt Garcia. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me or leave a comment. I'll get back to you, or I'll forward it to Matt specifically. Hey, what's up, Matt? How are you?
What's going on, my brother Mark? I am surviving, to say the least. I am surviving.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Absolutely, bro.
You got a poem for me?
Yeah, I absolutely do. So this joint right here is it's called "Come with a Bit." In recent times they turned the word bit into bid, like I'm doing a bid, but it's really a bit. When it was saying bit, it was my bit of time. So anyways, it's called "Come with a Bit." So do you know what it is to be in prison getting overlooked? It's sickness sitting vicariously living through a photo book. Housed with killers, dealers, gorillas, and bogus crooks. Frustrated and tired because you're wrestling with your skeletons. Forgotten by everybody, friends, women, and relatives. Dumb representatives is insulting your intelligence. That's what's commonly happening and most times transpiring. I know an innocent man burnt out from the courts frying them. Daddies crying, missing all their children. Going crazy because they ex-old lady let a sucker fill in. and you getting filled in, little bro, into destruction with the drilling. Life sentence is given out at a high rate. Upstate with brothers with dark marks on their foreheads from where they prostrate. A lot of scars and much more tattoos. Have you ever prayed, slept, and cooked in the bathroom? You read pages of books that inspire awakenings, and the false ingenuity got you creating things. Sometimes the pain of the penitentiary is creating kings, or further destroying people that been hurt bad, expected to eat, wash your ass with no cash. And when it's meal time, the CO don't stop at your cell, they just go past. What you supposed to do when your woman leaves? The one that swore to God that no matter what, that they wouldn't leave. And death didn't stop coming around. Another brother of yours has just been gunned down. And there's no umbrella when they tell you the hurt just comes down. And they shine in your eyes. Now it's dark like the sun's down. And you praying saying, oh Lord, let me live. And those that betrayed you, your soul try to persuade you to forgive. Because these are the actions that come with a bit. Such horrible actions that come with a bit.
It was deep, man. And a lot of
Yes,
people,
sir.
I mean, if you ain't in there or been through that, it's hard to understand that, but that it takes me back.
Yeah, my brother.
There's some moments out here that sort of like, I guess it's like a flashback. Like there was somebody would call it PTSD. I was in a hospital the other day, and somebody walked by and their walkie went off, and it was like, the guards' walkie, that sound.
Yeah.
And it was just like a flashback, and it was just a horrible feeling. And then there was another time where I heard somebody walking, they had their keys jingling, and it was like, it just reminded me of count time. And I was just
Wow.
that quick panic, like, oh, I should be standing. That's-
What you was in the hospital for, my brother? You all right?
yeah, no, I was there. What was that? I was there for somebody else.
Okay.
I
Well, I'm glad you're okay, and I do understand that PTSD. I'm in jail, right? And one of the most craziest things, ironically, you speaking about it, is if I hear the clicking of handcuffs, it automatically triggers my anxiety, my brother.
mm.
Automatically. If I hear any guard just playing with their handcuffs, it just reminds me of the worst. And I understand what you're saying. I know I'm gonna have to try to figure out how I'm going to deal with that upon my release. Inshallah, I do get released.
Yeah,
Yeah, bro.
Matt, your sentence is life without parole, right?
Yeah, I got life without parole for second degree murder, meaning I didn't kill anyone, nor did I have a pistol, nor did I conspire to hurt, harm, or take the life of another human being. And yet I still have a life sentence because of felony murder, which is second degree.
So when you're second degree, now that's in Pennsylvania, it's felony murder, which is sort of different than most states because most states they have a chance to get out, and especially for somebody who hasn't harmed anybody. And I know in
Right.
your case, you've been in prison for what, 27 years?
Yeah, 27 years now.
27 years for not hurting somebody. Did you feel like talking about the incident?
Oh yeah, I don't have no problem with it, my brother. I am an open book. So this is the truth. Perhaps it shall set me free. Um, I just came home from Vision Quest, which was a juvenile placement. I was there for like misdemeanor situations, like having some tree on me, being in trespassing, and another time being a passenger in a stolen car, right? So I'm coming home from Vision Quest. So now I'm coming home to an environment that before I left was not conducive at all to any young man um, trying to find my way, trying to get a job, trying to further education. It just wasn't working out. Long story short is my weed addiction had turned into me smoking PCP. which I was in a wedge, which was a treatment, an outpatient treatment center for at on Broad Street. So with all of this going on, I'm running around just like an ignorant child. So one evening, high, with a group of other young men, contemporaries of mine, we all was in the same age demographic, from 17 to 18 to 19 was the oldest. Um, Riding around fried. Um, Situation come in where they asked me to. I looked like I was the oldest. Imagine that. I didn't even have a mustache, but out of us, I looked like the oldest. To see if this bar would serve me a drink, so we can, get some alcohol. Go in, trying to get some alcohol. They not buying my gig that I'm old. They already noticed that I'm a child. When this transpired, everybody comes in and it automatically turns into a robbery, Mark. Um, I run out, I run back to the car. Within moments later, I hear a gunshot go off. Two of them actually. One was from one firearm, and the other one was the person that unfortunately lost their life was wrestling with the other one over a firearm. Go off. Everybody comes back to the car. I don't know what's transpiring. They said they just robbed the establishment. We leave. We get about, I'm gonna say, about a mile or something away. So now, remember, I just said I came home from Vision Quest. I gotta get back home because I'm on like a probationary thing, where they come to my house 3 times a day, and I have to write my name, my signature that I was present. It's like a visual. That's what they call it. I'm still in home quest too, which is uh, sort of like a halfway thing for juveniles. You go home, but you still got to go to this place. So I'm trying to get back home. Mind you, Mark, a robbery transpired. Somebody was shot. I am such an ignorant kid. I'm trying to get back home to get a visual from Vision Quest. Anyways, call for a ride because I'm not in my area. My One of my co-defendants' stepfather was coming to pick us up. As soon as we coming out of the house that we was at, there is a cop car coming down like an alcove of an alleyway. It's supposed to be 3 of us getting picked up. This is how God works. This is why I don't go against the decree of God, because I'm already away from the situation. We are far away, but because when the person get killed, they was doing like a sweep of the area. So anybody that fit the description of young kids wearing X, Y, and Z, they was pulling over. So I get away. I see the cop car coming. Automatically, paranoia kicks in. Me and one of my co-defendants, we get down the block. Um, it's supposed to be 3 of us. We get into, timing was perfect. We get into the car of one of my co-defendants' stepfather to leave to go home. And I'm like, well, we got one guy that was supposed to come with us. He's like, where he's at. So instead of us leaving, because mind you, I'm a kid, don't even know the severity of it. Plus, in my mind, I'm like, bro, I done ran. It's all good. I ain't do nothing. I'm straight. That's on y'all. We go behind the alleyway again. My co-defendant points the car out like, yo, that's my ride right there. The cop asks us, are you here to pick this guy up? We like, yes. In the area that my co-defendant was, I guess because he got stopped when we ran up the alleyway, he was one of the ones, I guess he was lagging behind. He looked in the area, seeing that there was something on the ground, and wound up being the victim's wallet. Um, Automatically, because of this person who was killed, they made an extreme big deal of it. Not to say that any loss of life is not important, but because this person was who he was, they made an extremely bigger deal out of it. He was a retired police officer, and in his wallet was a badge. I guess he carried it around. The man was I guess trying to protect the people that was in there, which it was only 2 people in there. So I can't knock him for trying to do what he was, I guess, his career trained to do. So again, because of this man's career and what he retired in, they was all over everything on Mark. We didn't stand a chance.
Right.
And because of me being an honorable person, no man left behind, I go back. Co-defendant points the car out. Now we're gripped up. So now we go to homicide. Mark, I'm thinking this is like with any other situation that I was in as a child. Call your parents, they come pick you up and you go home. My guy, I'm getting beat, getting stomped out, I'm getting punched on. Now I know the severity of it because they saying that the person was a retired police officer. So along with this ass whipping, it's a lot of threats that my life was going to be taken from me. Um, I'm scared out of my mind. I'm by myself. This ain't no call mommy and daddy situation. This is the real deal. I mean, they keep coming in over and over again, like as if I was a novelty of some sort. One comes in, punching on you, kicking on you, they leave. Other ones come in, screaming at you, punching on you, kicking on you. Long story short is that's where my introduction to the carceral system began. Because from then, I guess a few days later, after they stripped me of all my clothes, I was sent to CFCF. Going to CFCF, I'm extremely scared. Remember this situation I didn't take part in, but now I'm part of. Remember I said I was fried, now I'm not fried. So I'm literally like, oh my God, I'm in prison. And the journey begins. My brother, they from front page to every page before you go to court, to them trying to put me on death row as a kid, an 18-year-old kid. They recharged me from second degree to first degree just so they could give me a penalty phase, which is a phase where whether I'm going to get a life sentence or a death sentence. And again, mind you, you could check the facts. I didn't even have a gun. I didn't kill anybody, but because of this person's career, it was just a nightmare. Then on top of all that, because it was a high profile case, Mark, they gave me Roger King as a district attorney. Now, this is the man responsible in Pennsylvania, specifically Philadelphia, for putting the most people on death row. His name was Roger the Dodger King, the most corrupt district attorney in the history of Philadelphia. He died, and now all the cases that he prosecuted because of his prosecutorial misconduct, where they found him planting evidences from voices to blatant lies to racism when his jury selections, which the notes came out on multiple cases, yet nobody looked at my situation, albeit that my lawyers is just got permission to get my homicide files. I still went through all of this process, from not having a pistol to now facing a death penalty. Ultimately, I got found guilty of second degree, so I didn't have to go to that penalty phase. This was a year and some change later. I got found guilty when I was 19 years old, and sent upstate. And I've been in prison ever since. So imagine this is your first experience in prison. Then imagine what I've come to jail for, that you on the front page of all the newspapers. Imagine the treatment I'm getting in jail because one of theirs have lost their life. Imagine me getting beat, stomped, punched on, and then sent to CFCF. Imagine what's going through my mind. So that was my experience, Mark. Yeah, don't sound like a movie, but you
That that
dig. It's
was
just a reality.
that was a time that was in the 90s. So and prison was a lot, and jail and the police, that was a lot different back then. We're not used to even hearing about like the way it was going on back then. That was back when the FBI had raided Graterford, found guns and kilos of pounds of cocaine.
Yeah.
Cops were beating people up. It was like the Wild Wild West, especially in that area. And I mean, for you to be 18 years old coming up in that.
I'm 139 pounds I don't even have a mustache.
That's
So
rough.
imagine my mindset. Imagine my mindset. I was extremely frightened, but again, man, I'm still frightened to this day. I'm in prison. It's not a camp. And that turned into me, I guess, fronting my way through, man. I figured like, man, if I punch you or get you first, then I wouldn't be victimized like the other people that I've seen being raped. I've seen people murdered in here. I can name you multiple cases where people got killed, stabbed, violated, robbed, never get on the phone. Just the worst case scenario. So I had to develop into. I ain't never been no coward. And I never was no angel either. However, they threw me to the wolves, and I became one.
You had to acclimate, and it's hard to. I was just thinking about this the other day because it's when you make a change from a lifestyle you were so, I mean, not really comfortable with, but was so familiar with, and now, like for me, I was into crime. I was into selling drugs, and I mean, mafia stuff. I loved mafia movies. Those were my role models. Then
Right.
in prison, I made, the cognizant decision to change all that. Now my role models are scientists and stuff like that. Now I'm out though, the way I used to live is like haunting me, and this new adjustment is, I mean, it's really hard because I was so used to that. And in prison, I had it in my mind that I can do it because in prison you can really, say you're going to do something, but then when you're out, it's like a whole nother ball game. But yeah, and even in prison, there's times where I remember I had to set aside the change because you have to survive. It's a place of survival, and people
If
out here
you
can't
if
understand that.
Yeah, unless you experienced it, trying to explicate it is almost futile. You know it, so I can generate a good explanation to you and see you shake your head as in recognition, like, yeah, I'm familiar with that. In general, man, like just having to survive is one thing, and then being influenced. So again, you around people that really did kill people. You around people that really did rape people. I literally was housed next door to Gary Hynek, which they called the boogeyman in my area, that was killing all the women, and in some narrations was eating them. This is what an 18-year-old young man is housed right next to. Like his cell was right next to mine in the 90s. Um, so then I'm in here with little to no real support, like to survive under these conditions. And you automatically a metamorphosis if you're not careful into the worst case scenario. When you're a young boy, nobody really you look, you see them, you hear the music, and you watch the movies that's glorified that we all watch. And we seldom, if at any point of our lives, have heroes outside of those characters in those movies. But foolishly, the movies show that they go to jail or they get killed, yet we still try to emulate these people, bro.
Right,
What
right.
what my movie what my movie you watched? They survived, or there wasn't some
Yeah.
betrayals, or you know. So my mea culpa in retrospect, when I'm taking onus of my fault, was my eyes was like, all right, They said I'm a killer, so I'm a front like I'm one, and these bulls is gangsters. I'm not gonna be in here being victimized. I'm gonna be amongst the tough guys. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna be tougher than all of them. And this is true narrative, Mark. You can ask about me, bro. In a lot of environments, I was the apex predator, man. I was the top of all of that. The tough guys that really did it. Because again, I didn't want to be victimized anymore. They didn't have no mercy on the kid.
Wow.
I'm worst case scenario. So in order to digest it, bro, I had to front and fake my way just so I'm not drowning in my tears at night, like, and showing and revealing the identity of my fear that I'm scared. This is a truth too that I seldomly tell anybody. Hey, Mark, I was claustrophobic before I came to jail. Um, I had cellmates. They used to think that I was crazy because in the middle of the night, I would get up and start kicking the door because I would start panicking. This is the reality of it, bro. Like, so again, Aristotle got a quote. They said that people are as they do, that winning is a habit and so is losing. So with you, for example, what you said about making a transition, and it's easier to say it when you confined and isolated and you in an environment that the perspective is one thing. And then when you're emancipated from this, you have a whole new view on life. From the bottom of a mountain looking up, that's one way of seeing things. And then when you ascertain your liberty, for lack of better metaphor, you at the top of a mountain, you looking down. So the view is absolutely the antithesis of what it was. But when you create these habits for yourself and you become the man that you want to be, it comes natural. I don't, I'm coming home. It's going to come natural. It's going to take me some time to obviously acclimate to certain things. But my guy, listen, I am who I am. And I represent that every day. And if I wasn't that, then why I'm mentoring these babies in here when nobody is doing that? They don't even want to be around them. Why am I in here trying to create a movement with this change.org thing for the second chance for everybody else when it should be organizations and people that are already released doing that? But I got to do it from behind the can. Another thing too is free my brother Cal Little. And I got to make sure I say that and be a good representative of my brother in his absence. Free him. And I hope that every platform that I get on, that I always remember to venerate his name because he's a good brother and deserves a second chance. There's beautiful men in this joint that ain't getting heard. They're sitting like I was sitting, but didn't have the wherewithal, Mark, to like, you know what? I don't want to be a product of prison. I want to be a product of my hard work. You could have slid out and been in your bag. Some people, once they confine, they learn how to be better criminals. You know that.
Yeah.
Your game gets tightened up. All right, look, I ain't excelling this way, but I got a whole nother way, and I'm gonna do it like that.
Exactly.
So,
and you meet all types of new connections.
You feel me?
People. I mean, when they found out about my crime, the drug trafficking, everybody who was trying to sell drugs or get into the drug game was trying to link up with me when I got out. And I mean, it was constantly, no, that's not going to happen. And I mean, eventually that was in the beginning of my bid, but then because it was on the news, and then eventually that sort of dissipated. And then I developed the reputation of, oh, he's that dude that's always in the cell reading. And that's why I like you so much, because you made such a change, and it's so discernible. It's not going to go back, and you're helping other people, and that's how you stay focused. That's how I did too. When I started studying the law, I helped people with their law cases. That's how I learned, and that's how I stayed on track. Because I'm reading their stuff, thinking, gosh, this could happen to anybody. This is no way to live.
So this is something that I pride myself on, right? There's 3 laws that I live by. So the first one is you got to learn language as a man. And I don't mean to be like bilingual, albeit that's a good thing to learn how to, communicate to people in different languages. But when I say languages, it's the art of communication, to be able to code switch, that I want to effectuate change. And in order to do that, I have to utilize my communication to get through to people, or to get my point across, or to be on here and not have nothing rehearsed but to extemporize, where when you say something, I'm ready to nail it how it's supposed to be nailed, because I know that I might never get this opportunity again. So I learned that this law was to learn how to communicate, to be able to, again, make you feel me, make you see me with clarity, with good understanding. And at the end of the day, when you leave me, all right, I pretty much got a good template of what Matthew stands for. The second thing is, one of the major things is that you got to learn law. So I don't necessarily mean the legal law, but that is definitely incorporated in what I'm saying. You have to learn the law of your environment. What's making things move and rotate? What's stopping things? Who's who? What's what? You got to learn these things. And I understand, going back into the world, I have to learn my environment and the law of the land, and how things change, and how people are progressing, or how things stayed the same. But one of the other things which I find to be essentially the most important is, in order for me to be different like you, Mark, is I had to travel. So in the world, I would want to teach my people, if I have any people that's dear to me, to travel. So one may ask you a question: Hey Matthew, how the freak you in jail traveling? So I travel through books, Mark.
Right.
I travel through literature. I travel through academic classes, where I go into this different classroom setting, and I'm dealing with a different array of people that are communicating to me differently and telling me about a different aspect of life. And I'm also being able to present myself and who I am to a different audience. And when you go home, you'll do that same thing, because I couldn't say strawberries is my favorite if I never taste grapes. I can't say blue is my favorite color if I never seen red. So those are the three things that I stick by. And once I started instituting those things in my life, I started recognizing, damn, man, when I'm in this classroom, my energy might be a little bit different, because again, the audience is different, but I am who I am. It's not just my environment. The law may be different in this environment, but I am who I am. I might have traveled to this different place, but I bring Matthew with me. So they say a good man is trying to do the right thing even when no one is looking. So that's what I'm on, bro. I have no reservations about liberty. I want to be of service to the people. I know I'm influential enough. I do it in here with Stone Cold Killers, man. How can I do it to people that didn't make their mind up yet? I do it to dudes that was like you, the millionaires and the drug traffickers, and they listen to me, man, because I'm just different, and I present something different in the world of copycats. Xerox copies of the same thing.
Right.
Who got the drugs in jail? Who won the basketball game? What song is the hottest? What girl look good? These are the things that's recycled
Right.
commonly. You already know, bro. You've been through it.
My close friend, we went in there. I met him when I was in the county. We both got sentenced to 10 to 20 years, and
Wow.
and then we ended up at the same prison, Hestia Housdale, together. So we became close when we got to Housdale, and he seen I was trying to change and study, so he was doing the same thing. And then they sort of separated us. They put him on the other side of the jail, and then he got into the basketball, the video games, and I stayed in the
Yeah.
study thing. And then we ended up meeting back up a year or two before I left again, because we had to do the program to leave, the therapeutic community. And I said, "Are you ready to leave now?" He says, "Yeah, man, I've been ready to leave." I said, "Well, dang, I don't know how you've been ready to leave. I just got ready to leave." And he told me, "You just got to have it in your mind, you're never going to come back to jail." If a cop comes up to me, I'm dropping to my knees. Don't shoot. You can search me. I'm patting people down before they get in my car. You just got to be humble. And I was supposed to get out before him by a few months, but it didn't go that way because the DOC had retaliated on me because of that lawsuit, and he ended up going home before me. I got out last July, and I couldn't find him. And it was just last week. I kept checking the database. He's on the parole database, so I'm thinking he's out. He's somewhere on parole in Philadelphia because he's not on the DOC database. And then I checked last week, and he was in the DOC at SCI Phoenix. And then I looked up his affidavit, and he was arrested last June. So he was
Wow.
out. He was out for 8 months, and I mean, he was high. I could tell by reading what he did. He was in a car, and the lady's like, "Get out of my car!" And he's asking her, "How do I put it in drive?" And then the
Yeah,
cop
he fried out
came,
his mind.
and then he assaulted 2 officers. And then once that he reached for his gun, and we had that conversation about police officers and him being black. Like some of these cops, I'm not saying all cops are bad, but some of these cops are just waiting for the opportunity.
To
And
kill you or put you in jail.
right, um, I mean, my heart's been broken since I read that. I emailed him. I haven't heard back yet. I imagine he's probably in the hole. He just got sentenced
Man, listen.
to 2 to 4. So, and he's probably going to do that whole parole 10 years. Yeah, I'm sick about that.
What was crazy is perhaps it was different for me because I've been in the hole for years and I've been transferred to multiple institutions and I had to go through a lot in order to arrive to the disposition that I have now, which is a ceremonious approach to life, behavior appropriate to every circumstance, right? But you and I both know, Mark, this joint ain't rehabilitating if you don't want it. It might give you a little look when you isolate and confined from the world and you want to dig into yourself, but this thing ain't built to create a change. It's literally warehousing folks. And that's what I be telling a lot of people, like, man, I don't owe prison this. I owe God because it was God's plan for me to work it out in my head and my own behavioral traits and all that. But you and I both know, man, this thing didn't produce this. My hard work and dedication and being something different did. I was tired of being like everybody else, bro, talking like everybody else, walking like everybody else, and still getting the same goddamn mother loving results. I refuse to be that, man. That's why every time I'm getting an opportunity, look, I'm trying to incite in a younger's mind, like, look, bro, this is not it. Also with my guys, man, they probably be thinking I'm burned out, but hey, look, man, you gonna hear this opposed to the recycled malarkey. I ain't into that. I'm fighting to get out of prison so I can continue to fight to help other people to get out of prison, and even in the prison that a lot of people are free that are in. And to show what a good man is, man, a good representation of masculinity, man. A good representation of a person that been scarred, but I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm looking for empathy. And I hope people feel that and that translate into this conversation. I could have been like, yo, look at me. I'm an innocent person, man. And there's so many of them. I was never an angel audience. I was a kid, an ignorant child, um, adopted ignorant child, a drug baby, on drugs, living in a terrible homicide, drug infested environment. How the hell did I still survive? Blows my mind. Alhamdulillah for that. But yet I'm still in prison.
With the
So
life
many of
sentence.
our, yep, right, with a life
And,
sentence.
and they're denying you the opportunity for a second chance. And I mean, that's what kills me because I mean, especially for those who haven't harmed anybody, there's fathers, sons, mothers, brothers, daughters, you know, in prison for the rest of their life and they never harmed anybody. And what we both know, after you cross a certain amount of time, you change. And I can't think of anybody who has probably more than 10 or 15 years that hadn't really changed. You know, they're not into that dumb stuff anymore. And especially because in there, you're really up against all odds. It is
For
hard to
sure, man.
rehabilitate. If you rehabilitate yourself in there, because it's supposed to be, but it's really the antithesis.
You
Everything's
know it is.
against you to change. You have all of the influences around you telling you not to change. So when you make a change, that should stand for something. That should really mean something.
Well, I hope it does, and that's why I need you to push.
Sorry.
It's going to hang up, but I will say
There's a-
this. I am not broke. I've changed because I've seen the greater good. I'm not in here pushing mops and buck-eyeing and being a slave. I'm a person that made a difference in myself to make a difference in the world because I see it differently, not because these people broke me. I'm hurt. I'm wounded. I've been betrayed on multiple levels, but I'm still a man and I'm still a warrior and I'm still fighting to make a difference to show them that you can still be a man and be that difference. And yeah, they didn't offer me a lot, but guess what? I found a way, like the great Hannibal said, or I made a way. And here we are, man. You gotta get them to sign that petition, Mark.
yeah.
This could create change, bro. We are vehicles of it. I'm telling you, bro, they making a decision in June. We have an opportunity to make change and to continue to make it, my brother. And my salutations and salutes is to you for giving me a chance and an opportunity to be heard. It means more to me than I will ever be able to articulate to you, my brother. And thank you for being who you are.
You
And I'm
too,
sorry
man.
that you suffered this too, man. Sorry. I hope this makes us family now too, my brother.
Absolutely.